Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Sunday night edition of the Danger Zone. Tonight, breaking news from across the NFL as Houston Texans star wide receiver and former University of Houston All-American Tank Dell shot in Florida. We'll have an update on his situation. Also, a recap of this weekend's NFL draft. We'll take a look at the winners and the losers and find out who goes into the danger zone. And finally, we'll take a look at round one of the NBA playoffs. A couple of teams are on the brink of elimination. All of that coming up with Floyd B next on the Danger Zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Ken Moore, here with my boy, Floyd Brooks. Welcome to the Danger Zone, another Sunday night edition. We're going to take a look across the NFL at the 2024 NFL Draft, the winners, the losers. We want to get your thoughts on the situation. We'll also have the latest on Tank Dell's situation from Florida, as he was one of 10 victims in a mass shooting this weekend. And, of course, we'll take a look at the NBA playoffs coming up. But first and foremost, we want to take care of our housekeeping duties. We want to welcome you all to the show. If you have not subscribed to the show, we want to invite you guys to subscribe to the show, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. We come to you each and every, so maybe one or two times during the week as well. So we definitely want you guys to do that. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on Facebook, we definitely want your interaction as well. You can hop over to the YouTube version of the show by just clicking the link there, and it will take you to the YouTube version. That way you guys can interact and ask questions and give us your comments and everything on the show here tonight. My boy Floyd, what's going on, brother? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you, brother. Shout out to everyone. Welcome to the Danger Zone. Glad to be back this week. Exciting show. Interesting topics, headlines, and I'm ready to go with it.
All right, man. Well, first and foremost, let's tackle the serious subject that we found out this afternoon, that Tank Dell, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, also formerly of the University of Houston, was shot. They say it was minor wound, nothing life-threatening, nothing career-threatening that we know of at this point. So it looks like he is going to be okay, but it looks like that this happened last night at a party outside of Sanford, Florida, which from my understanding is just north of Orlando. And no fault of his own. It seemed like according to reports, there was an altercation that broke out between a 16-year-old and another individual, and this 16-year-old juvenile pulled out a gun and shot approximately 10 people at this event in Florida on last night. Thankfully, according to reports, none of the injuries are life-threatening. We definitely want to wish Tank the best in his recovery and hope that all is well with him. I had an opportunity to meet him at a University of Houston basketball game this past season. Wonderful, wonderful kid. He was taking pictures with fans, taking pictures with little kids, signing autographs. From everything I've seen from this young man, he is a wonderful, wonderful person, and we definitely want to wish him the best.
Yeah. shout out to his family. And I mean, it's just sometimes, man, you can be at the right place at the wrong time, Ken. This is you don't want this incident happen to anyone. But sometimes, man, what can you say? If the incident is true, what's being said, it's not like him or anyone he was with or affiliated with had anything to do with what went down. But again, him there, and unfortunately that happening to him. Thank God it wasn't nothing life threatening as reported. But it just again how the blink of an eye, how your career, your livelihood, all could be cut short, man. So just a little awareness, and just to kind of be aware of what's going on. Sometimes sometimes you just can't prevent it. So what I like about the league now is that they're training these guys. They're having classes and seminars and all these things, preparing these guys for when they become professional athletes and notable athletes and start getting paid. Having to pick where you go and your surroundings. But again, it's hard for people to turn their back on the people and the individuals that got them to the dance, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
See athletes like AI to come to mind, who brought his boys with him. LeBron, they brought their boys with him. So it's hard to let go. We know professional athletes that's from roundabout in our area who kind of fall prey to the same situation of staying affiliated with what the individual was that got them to the dance. So we're just blessed that Tank, nothing serious, man, and hopefully it's something to be learned from the situation, and a speedy recovery. Let's get back to this training camp. Let's get to the training camp, Tank.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We definitely want to wish him the best, and it speaks to we're not gonna dive off into a lot of political stuff, but it does dive into a deeper deal on continued gun violence in this country, and the threat that, especially our young people are really, really at risk. Because it's nothing with going out. It's nothing with going out when you're 21, 22, 23 years old, going out, you're having fun, you're at a party, you're being responsible. And then, some lunatic, because they don't want to fight with their hands, they result to going to get a gun, and they put people at risk, innocent bystanders at risk, and we assume Tank was an innocent bystander in this situation. We don't know for sure, but we assume that he was. And if that's the case, you just hate to see situations like this, but not only for Tank, for the other 9 individuals that were injured in this mass shooting. And it's just something that I hate that our young people have had to grow up with, or are having to grow up with. You and I both have kids, in college, and you pray for them, and they want to go out, they want to hang out with their friends, and they want to have a good time, and you don't want to keep them boxed into the house and secluded. So you let them go, and you just pray for them every time that they leave the house, man, that they come back home. And just a very unfortunate situation for Tank. So again, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. We definitely, we do want to put this somewhat into a football context, because this is a young man that just came off a critical injury, a leg injury at the end of the season last year, and he's been going through rehab, trying to get ready for OTAs, trying to get ready for training camp. And this is a situation, we don't know how much it's going to set him back in his recovery, in preparing for the 2024 season. But you hope that he can just, he's got a bright future, and you hope that this doesn't set him and his career back too far in his production for the Texans.
Yeah, I don't know where he is in for his recovery from the injury. I don't know his status. I mean, as the offseason go on, I'll get more information as well as yourself to see where he is for his recovery. Again, we're blessed that it wasn't anything serious from what reports said, minor injuries. So let's hope it don't set him back. But what this does show, and put it in a football perspective, is why you draft for depth. You draft for depth. Incidents happens, injuries happens, unfortunately, on and off the field. But you can believe this. Thoughts and prayers the Texans are, issuing out thoughts and prayers to the family and other victims of this shooting. But the minute that happened, unfortunately, they began preparing, life without Tank. Unfortunately, that's just how how it go. That's the way it is. And again, a young man just out enjoying himself, and this happened. Again, from the football perspective, hopefully it'll be a speedy recovery, and it's nothing that'll interfere in his rehab. But again, in the world we live in, one man's misfortunes is another man's opportunity. So let's see where this goes. I hope well. I hope he be in camp. Hope don't miss any time. And because we got big plans for Tank in H-Town, man. We got big plans for Tank, man. He's definitely a major piece in this puzzle and us getting to the next level, the Texans that I'm speaking of. So Tank, get well, baby. Make better choices. I hope this is something that you can learn and move on from. And come on down here and help us get closer to something we ain't never had down here in Houston before.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we definitely don't indicate that he made a bad choice. It was just somebody that a kid that got his hands on a gun and was reckless with it. So thoughts and prayers to Tank on his recovery, and of course, as we get more news on him here in the Houston area, we'll definitely let you guys know about that. Transitioning, we want to try to make a smooth transition as we can on that note, and we want to go to the NFL draft. And again, welcome to the Danger Zone. We're going to be talking about the Texans draft, the Titans draft. I definitely want to touch on the Atlanta Falcons and their draft, as they have been the hot topic coming out of Detroit this weekend in that draft. But since we started on the Texans, we're going to go ahead and kind of take a look at the Texans and what they did in the draft this weekend. Of course, they did not have a first-round pick. How do you feel the Texans addressed their needs on days 2 and 3 of the draft?
Well, with the first pick, they addressed a significant need in the cornerback position and drafting the cornerback out of Georgia. Reports has him that he's not a very fast guy, running 4.6, but he's physical. He doesn't make mistakes. He tackles well, and he's just a good football player. So again, that was one of the needs that we definitely needed going into this draft, was to beef up our cornerback, but to beef up the secondary period. Again, because I'm not completely sold on Stringer, but I like that pick there from the very first pick. I think the next pick we had was offensive lineman. I think we got him out of Michigan. Again, with not having one of the elite lines in the NFL, so you're always going to be drafting for depth to get a little bit more with it. Let me try to pull this up a little bit myself with you, man. So it was Blake Fisher, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, Yes.
was
Yes.
the second guy at number 59. CBS Sports gives him a B minus rating. They gave Kamari Lassiter, I believe is how you pronounce his name, gave him a
Yeah,
B
Lassiter.
plus rating. They gave him a B plus rating. So he's physical, balanced back pedal, plan and drive skills are impressive, solidly built, good but not great speed. Doesn't have a true specialty, but rock solid all around game. As far as Blake, I'm not sure if he's right tackle, left tackle, could be a guy that can kind of be a swing tackle for your guy. Best getting downhill on the ground game. So it looks like he may be a good run blocker, may need a little work on the pass blocking there.
Well, the safety that they picked, give me what was the report out on him? I see he come out of USC.
On the third round pick?
Yes.
Okay, that was Kalen Bullock.
There you go. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kalen Bullock. He got an A grade. So you guys got an A grade on him from USC.
Yeah, you got him as the pure most safety range in the class. Won't provide much as a run support player, but does give it all in. Quickly identifies a route and can be a fun playmaker at the next level. At his side, doesn't hold him back. So evidently he's pretty small. Again, any depth that we can develop for our secondary in Houston is great. Again, I see the report is an A, and so we can go from there. Now the next one is a tight end out of Ohio State, Cade Stover. He's one of the greatest blue collar tight ends in the class. This is what's being reported about him. Will really get after it. That's the blocking and move people in the occasion and reasonable athletic gifts, pass catching prowess. May never be an all-pro tight end, but will likely play for next decade. Just reading that, just consistent, blue-collar worker. He can block. It's interesting that the Texans, for that matter, hasn't really had an all-pro tight end since Owen Daniels. Can you believe that? Owen Daniels.
Right.
Owen Daniels. So, and the guys that we have playing tight end, Devin, Knight, whatever his last name is. I mean, those guys kind of remind me like of what the Titan tribe of Frank Wycheck, whereas they're not big enough to line up every play at tight end, especially in the run game. They look like the skills that we have with them, Brevin Jordan, them is that, and now we got the boy from Dallas. We re-signed him, so and he's not a great blocker. So this guy could probably come in and be a good special teams guy, and see how you can do in bunch coverage when you do go. Maybe you go two tight ends. I don't know much about this linebacker out of Oregon. He had a little safety skills. He was comfortable working in coverage, playing down in the box, and there's some value in this, considering that it's the same defensive system that allowed Hufanga to succeed with it. I mean, depth. I like the linebacker core we got, but again, after the corner that was drafted that we took first, out of Georgia, everything else is depth. Everything else is depth and kind of filling out the roster. Maybe we can find a diamond in the rough. Everyone hopes for that. But right now, these picks are just filling in roster spots.
Right.
And, just based on their grade, a B plus, all that look good. But we know that they're basically filling roster spots, bearing any injuries or anything.
Right. So nobody here that really jumps off the page for you. You hope that Lassiter can at some point be a starter at that cornerback position, maybe opposite of Stingley or maybe even replacing Stingley, because I know you're not as high on Stingley as some other people were this past season.
No, I'm not. No.
Yeah. All right. So that's your look at the Houston Texans part of the draft. Now let's kind of transition over to the Titans and what they did in the draft. Of course, the Chargers kind of upset the apple cart when they took Joe Alt. One of the interesting things that came out, particularly in the top 10, was that you had the Chargers, who already have a really good left tackle. So a lot of people thought they would go with J.C. Latham, the right tackle, the best right tackle in the draft. But no, they decided to go with Joe Alt. And reports from Jim Harbaugh and Chargers camp over the weekend, they're going to move Joe Alt from left tackle to right tackle. And then you have the Titans 2 picks later. They need a left tackle, but they take a right tackle in J.C. Latham, who was arguably the second best tackle on the board, and they're going to move him to left tackle. So it seems like these two teams, man, I don't understand. If you're the Chargers, if you need a right tackle and you got J.C. Latham right there, the best right tackle in the class, why would you go with Joe Alt and try to make him transition from left to right? And then now you kind of force the Titans to take J.C. and he's got to transition from right to left. It just seems like these two teams probably should have made a trade and got the guy that they really needed to fill their individual needs.
Well, in the Chargers situation, I can't think of the name of their left tackle. Maybe somewhere along the line we can pull it up. I can't think of the name of his left tackle. But he has been injured. So I can see them drafting Alt, who is originally a left tackle, hoping that their all-pro left tackle can return to form and be injury-free, so you can still put Latham on the field. You know, one thing I've seen throughout the last 3 or 4 years for sure is that a lot of linemen that's being drafted are versatile, being able to move them up and down that line of scrimmage, up and down that line, which is very useful, and it gives you more depth to be able to succeed and keep your continuity within your offensive line. If you go on offensive line, I mean, you took the second best lineman that was on the board. I mean, I just thought they should have went a different direction. That's just me. But interesting, we was talking about T'Vondre Sweat.
Yes.
Off the field situation that he had, and we both agreed that he would be a nice fit with you guys to put alongside Simmons to get Simmons back to that first team All-Pro season he had a few seasons ago, man, when but he had somebody playing beside him. So I really like that pick for the Titans. They're giving him as far as grade his skills. I see they give him a C-. I don't put a whole lot into that, Ken. I think this guy can really help Simmons, and y'all can have a real solid front four. You know, got some meat up there. You know, you ain't gonna just be able to run down their throat. So that's something to think about as well. Your boy Freak Powers out there talking to you, Ken. He said, "Is it that hard to play Sharinsky at it and Latham at right tackle?"
Yeah, I mean, they've made up their mind that Skoronski is going to be the left guard, that his arms and his skill set is not enough at the NFL level to play left tackle. That's just an organization decision that Mike Vrabel and his staff made last year, and apparently Callahan and his staff agree with that. So it looks like you're going to have Latham at left tackle, and you're going to have Skoronski at left guard. Two guys that, you know, drafted in the top 11 in back-to-back years. Neither one of them played their particular position in college, so it's a transition for both of those guys. And, you know, I'm just going to be cautiously optimistic You have the best offensive line coach, one of the best offensive line coaches in NFL history, and Bill Callahan, the coach's dad, coaching those guys. So you just hope that he can coach those guys up to improve that offensive line. As for T'Vondre Sweat, we talked about him, getting into trouble, as you mentioned, right before the draft a couple of weeks ago. And again, as you mentioned, we both agreed that he would be a perfect fit next to Jeffrey Simmons, particularly since the Titans lost Denico Autry and free agent, ironically, to the Texans. So I'm on board with the pick. I know a lot of people, I don't understand a C- rating on a guy who won the Outland Trophy. The guy won the Outland Trophy. I mean, you don't just win the Outland Trophy as the best interior defensive lineman in America by accident. Yeah. You don't win that by accident. This is a guy, along with Byron Murphy, that just dominated offensive lines all year long, dominated, where teams had to run outside. You could not run in the middle of the Texas defense. And so now you put this guy next to Jeffrey Simmons, arguably the second or third best interior lineman in the NFL. How can he not succeed? You can't say he doesn't have a work ethic, because if you don't have a work ethic, you don't win all of the awards that he won. Now, of course, that has to translate. We've seen some guys come in and they get lazy, or they get fat and happy, and they don't continue to put in the work. But the Titans met with him the day after his DWI in Austin. They met with him the next day. He was in for his visit. He didn't cancel his visit. They said he came in, he owned up, he took full responsibility for putting himself in that situation, and that's what sold the organization on him. He didn't come in making excuses, trying to blame his homeboy, trying to blame his girlfriend, trying to blame anybody. He took full responsibilities for his actions, and that's all you can ask for of a young man or a young woman. If you make a mistake, own that mistake and try not to repeat that mistake.
Yeah, some people was trying to compare him to Vince Wilfork, which is kind of, Vince wasn't that big. Vince wasn't nowhere near 360 pounds. But the young man is 6'4", 362 pounds, man. And hopefully you can play him anywhere down the line of scrimmage. Hopefully. You may be able to move Simmons around a little bit, like the Chiefs do with Chris Jones. They move Chris Jones around a lot, and that's why he gets a lot mismatch. He's lined up as a DT, but he lined to be on left end, right end. He lined to be right. Sometimes I've seen him come up on the 49ers in that Super Bowl. He came straight up the middle on them. So having that versatility, having a guy of that side you'll be able to use Jeffrey Simmons more and get him back to that all pro that the Titans had 2 years ago with that guy. Again, grades, you know how we feel about grades, man. Hey.
Oh yeah. It's too early, right? I mean, we look at them for reference, but then the true meaning is, okay, the next year. Like, I did a great report on what I thought the Titans had done in the 2023 draft, and I gave Skoronski, I gave him a C. And a lot of Titans fans felt like he was a B. Well, I gave him a C because he started off good. Then he had an appendectomy, which set him back. And then when he came back, he played reasonably well. Now, he had no help at left tackle. He had no help at center. But, he held his own, but he wasn't anything phenomenal. So when you're not anything phenomenal, I'm not going to be a homer and say, oh, he was great, I'm going to give him an A or a B. No, he was average, maybe a little above average, C plus grade for me, Skoronski on last year. So we'll see what these guys do next year. Let's take a look at rounds 3 and 4 for the Titans. Or they didn't have a third round pick, so this is rounds 4 and 5. Now I thought they hit it out on the park with Cedric Gray, a linebacker from North Carolina. He was one of the highest graded linebackers in this class. He can move sideline to sideline. He's not real great he's good in coverage, not great in coverage, but most linebackers aren't great in coverage. But he's a tackling machine. He's a guy that they need at that inside linebacker position. Again, you lost Algier to the Texans, so you have to fill that void. So you're getting younger defensively. You fix the middle of that interior defense now because this guy can play behind Simmons and Sweat. He should have a lot of room to roam freely and make tackles. He may even be the captain of the defense. So I thought that was a wonderful pick. I don't know about this cornerback out of Louisville. You had a comment on Gray.
Well, with Gray, he's 6'2", 235, which is kind of light. Which is kind of light for him to be. I think he's an outside linebacker, but he's still kind of light.
Inside.
He's inside. So that he is kind of light, and that was probably what kept his grade from being higher than an A-. Was that he's gonna have to put on a little weight and be able to run through some of them tackles sideline to sideline. He has the speed. He definitely got the speed to get to sideline to sideline, but he got to be able to weave through that traffic. He'll have to put on a little bit more weight, and I think he can be very helpful for you guys again because y'all lost a linebacker.
Right. Now this Jarvis Brownlee Jr., I'm not real familiar with him. I wanted us to go wide receiver. This is the 5th round selection. They say confident, feisty cornerback, play inside on the perimeter. Again, this is a depth pick because you signed 2 cornerbacks in free agency.
Yes.
Right? And then you also got Roger McCreary coming back, who you think is going to be your slot receiver. So this is more of a depth draft pick here in the 5th round. I would have rather gone wide receiver at this point, but they went cornerback, so we'll see what happens.
What I have noticed with the Titans in this draft, it kind of caught me a little bit by surprise. As you continue to go down, you see the wide receiver out of Tulane, kind of small guy, give him a B+, small, somewhat twitchy, vertical, not a ridiculous change in direction or size. He can catch raiders, but flashes some bounce to get up and down the field pretty quickly, physically. I think the Titans had 8 picks in this draft.
No, we only had 6.
We had 6 picks in this draft.
We only had 6 picks. Yeah,
and it kind of because your new offensive coordinator, I think got more 2, 4. I think he had 7. We might have had more than that, but
I think we had some down at the end of the
yeah. That's why I thought it was 8. Could be wrong.
Okay, yeah.
But out of all the picks, being that your new head coach is an offensive guy, and again, I thought I seen 8, but you took 6 defensive players and only 2 offensive players in this draft, with your head coach being an offensive guy. Again, what you're saying is kind of like the Mike Vrabel era was defense was important. You want to pound, play action, and rely on your defense. Are you surprised that they heavily drafted defensive players and you guys draft this season?
I am. Now, going back to 38, where they took Sweat, they had a Donley Mitchell there as well. I didn't think both of the Texas guys would be there. So you had Mitchell, who you could have taken at wide receiver, and you had Sweat. I was torn because it was really both were really a position of need. Now, ideally, in an ideal world, you trade back there. Maybe you trade back 6 or 7 spots, try to accumulate another draft pick, maybe in the 3rd round, and perhaps you could get both of those guys. A lot of people thought Sweat would drop to the 3rd round because of his DWI. Now, you don't know what other teams are thinking. right? They may look at him as a value pick and take him late in the second round. And you may not have an opportunity if you trade back. But yes, I thought they would go. At some point, I thought they would take a wide receiver. Here's one of the interesting things about the Titans is that they've been offensively deprived the last 2 years since they traded A.J. Brown. They have not drafted a wide receiver, a true wide receiver, in the top 5 rounds in the last 2 years. The kid Jackson that they drafted from Tulane, he's drafted primarily to be a kick returner. He's probably not going to even see the field as a wide receiver because with the new kick return rules, they go into this XFL style of kickoffs now where they're encouraging returns again. So it behooves teams to have a good kick returner. So that was the main reason for them drafting Jackson is because he's an explosive kick returner. But yeah, I thought they would have a little bit more offense, particularly at the back end of the draft, since they didn't go with Mitchell at 38.
Probably one of the reasons why they didn't draft a guy, like you said, in the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years, because you got to remember they drafted Trayvon Burks. They brought in another veteran. I can't remember who it was. It was a veteran that came in there.
DeAndre Hopkins?
No, it wasn't DeAndre Hopkins. It was Julio Jones.
Oh, that was like 3 years ago, though.
Yeah. They brought in Julio Jones. So I can understand them maybe missing in those drafts. And I mean, later on in the round and for getting depth at the wide receiver position, man. But again, bad management, you lose players, you give them away, and you try to keep moving on. You know the game, Ken. They try to keep moving on, man. But again, when you strap your team to below average quarterbacks, this is what you're gonna be dealing with. 3-4 years down the line, 2-3 years, because you can't get rid of him. Don't nobody want him, so you're gonna pretty much be stuck with him and ride him out. And that's what happened with Tannehill. So I like the Sixers. Remember, they had a choice between Jimmy Butler and your boy Tobias Harris, and they chose Tobias Harris. Well, that's what they did by ultimately signing Ryan Tannehill to all that. A.J. Brown was more than likely not going to get paid because you got to pay Mr. Henry. You had to pay Derek without a doubt. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, what up, Truth? Truth was going to try to join us tonight, but he was on another podcast. He gave everybody a grade of he gave the team overall a B- grade. I was on his podcast during the draft. He was highly upset at the J.C. Latham pick. I was wondering if he had got over that 48 hours later, if he had a change of heart. So, Truth, if you're still in here, let me know how you still feel about J.C. Latham. And here were the 2 7th-round picks for the Titans. Again, defense, as you mentioned, James Williams, a safety out of Miami. Now, the Titans do need some depth at safety. With Kevin Byard being gone, they have an open slot next to Malik Hooker. So James Williams may be one that can compete for that spot. And he can also compete on special teams. Jalen Harrell, outside linebacker out of Michigan, just won a national championship. Again, you hope the guy that can come in, bring some toughness, be a competitor in camp, and maybe try to win a job on special teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that kind of puts a bow on the Titans. I hate to give grades again. The main thing for me are the first 3 picks. I think we got 3 day one starters and Latham at tackle, Sweat at defensive line, and Cedric Gray at linebacker. I think all of those guys should be starting week 1. And if they are not starting week 1, then it's going to be some problems in Nashville. So that's kind of where we are on the Titans side of the draft. Now, we're going to start putting some teams in the danger zone on this draft. And I talked about it on draft night, and I even feel more strongly about it now. Atlanta Falcons.
Punk, you're in the danger zone.
Atlanta Falcons in the danger zone, man. The Atlanta Falcons are in the danger zone. And I feel bad. I feel good in knowing that I'm not alone in this representation because Warren Sharp, a guy that I follow on Twitter, he does a lot of outstanding stuff as far as stats and breaking down this, that, and the third. And he said the 49ers not only had a bad first round draft with Michael Penix, but they had overall the worst draft of all 32 teams, that they overdrafted players in almost every single round of the draft. They were drafting players 10 to 40 spots higher than other teams had them on their draft. And so I got to put the Atlanta Falcons in the danger zone. For the life of me, I have no idea what they were doing this draft. No idea.
If we could get that draft pulled up there, I could probably look at it a little bit better, more, and kind of look at it. Again, you know, me and you always been on opposite side when it came to this right here. I'm not so been out of shape about it. Everything that you said and some guy, but you'd be surprised about the number of people across the board that understands this, that doesn't have a problem with them picking Michael Penix with the A pick, with signing Kirk Cousins early in free agency. I'm one that don't have a problem with it. I understand and everybody has broken it down and how this, you just spent this money, that. But I also have people to kind of understand and say, look, when you look at it anyway, the contract with Kirk Cousins has is probably only going to be 2 years good anyway. You know, probably only going to be 2 years good anyway. You know, why not? Why not? I mean, why not? Is there a law or a specific rule or something went through the legislature that says because I just signed somebody or I just hired somebody to do this job that I can't hire someone else that's capable of doing the same job? I don't. I'm looking at it after the Michael Penix, they signed a D lineman. I mean, the Falcons defense played much better than it has in the previous seasons. I will say that. But defense is definitely something that they need to improve in. But let's be absolutely honest right here with the Atlanta Falcons, Ken. Were there a legitimate defensive player in this draft right here, in the 2024 draft, were there a defensive player that you truly believe was a top 10 pick? I'm asking you this, my brother. Was there a defensive player that you believe wholeheartedly was a top 10 pick? Because I didn't see one.
Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. But you could have traded back if there was. That is your team need. Now, people say, was it the edge rush out of Alabama, Dallas Turner, I believe is his name, was the best defensive player. I think he was the first defensive player to go off the board. I think he went at 17.
Yes, absolutely.
So you could have traded back, got you a defensive player, and then added you some additional pieces. What Atlanta did, in my opinion, was organizational malpractice. You give a guy $100 million to say, I want to win right now. That's the only reason you give Kirk Cousins $50 million a year, because you feel like you want to win right now. You're not trying to win in 2026. You're trying to win in 2024. And when I say win, I'm not talking about win the Super Bowl, but you're trying to win your division. You're trying to get home field. You trying to put fans back in the stands at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the ATL.
Well, you just
so if
did.
you signing this guy to a $50 million contract per year, why the hell are you drafting his backup? You drafted. Let me put it this way: the best case scenario for Atlanta is that Michael Penix doesn't see the field for 2 years. That's the best case scenario.
I mean,
because that means Kirk Cousins is healthy and he's doing a good job. But that also means that you got a top 10 pick that you're not getting any value from, any use from, and you're wasting 2 years on this rookie contract. Because that's the contract where you want to be able to invest in other positions. That's what the Texans are doing. They use a top 10 pick on C.J. Stroud, and now they can go out and get all these defensive linemen and wide receivers and defensive backs and linebackers and Joe Mixon. They can fill the whole team around C.J. Stroud because he's on a rookie contract. That's what you want to do with Michael Penix. If you're going to draft Michael Penix, you don't go sign Kirk Cousins. You go get a Gardner Minshew or somebody that can just be a bridge quarterback and back him up in case he needs to be backed up. And you can go spend that $100 million on defense. You could have went and got Danielle Hunter instead of letting him go to the Texans. They could have went and got Danielle Hunter for the same money, a hell of a lot less money than they gave Kirk Cousins.
My brother, you're right. You are right. Just for some reason, I believe in, sometimes you gotta step outside the box, man. This is not
step outside the box. They
step out the box, man. Now I don't know how it's gonna pan out. None of us do. But my prediction is that this gonna work out really well for the Falcons. I really believe that. I really think this is gonna work out for it. I don't know how, but I believe that this is gonna work out fairly well for the Atlanta Falcons. I really do. Now, logic says that it was dumb. It didn't make sense. But I'm willing to take a chance. First of all, you got to draft somebody. You got to draft. Listen, Aaron Rodgers and all those guys that had problem with drafting, with the team drafting for tomorrow. All of them had problems, man. And I looked, and those guys were still in their prime. Kirk Cousins, what prime has Kirk Cousins even reached a prime? Is there even a prime in his resume? Yeah, you could have done a lot of other things, and if you wanted a quarterback, you still could have, traded down. But they wanted who they wanted, and I'm all right with it. And I think it's gonna work for them. I'm picking to win the AFC South right now. I am.
We put
with
5
Kirk
on
Cousins or without Kirk Cousins.
We put 5 on it.
I got you.
I'm rolling with Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah,
y'all hearing right? Y'all hearing right?
I'm rolling with Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles, man. That was just that was crazy. And then and following that up, then they trade up. They trade up to number 35 to get Ohorio.
He's lineman out of Clemson here.
Yeah. Now, I don't mind him. I don't mind him at all. But you trade up to get it. So now you're forfeiting another draft pick. Another draft pick. And they say, right, expensive trade up hurts his grade despite the Falcons feeling the need with a quality prospect. Crazy. Just crazy stuff. Braylon Trice, edge, number 74. Bad test and hurt his stop. But this is productive as an edge rusher. Slipper with pass rush plans, smaller than his listed weight, doesn't have serious bursts, flashes of being.
D-line, Then they got Brandon Dolores, a D lineman out of Oregon. Got him as full twisher, thick twisher. He can literally win at any alignment along the defensive line. Isn't the most sudden and not best with his hands, but he's just slippery, get between blocks, and overall athletic profile is impressive. Rushes can get too high, don't play with much power, and can get washed up versus the run. Has frame and more weight. And then the next pick after that is J.T. Bertrand, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Run the screen, see what the next one is. After Bertrand, the linebacker out of Notre Dame. And then they take the running back out of Alabama. And then the wide receiver out of Illinois. So what is the overall grade that they give the Atlanta Falcons?
Okay, so for CBS, they got a B- on Penix, a B on Aurora. They got an A- on Trice, A- on Dorless, C on Bertrand, C+ on McClellan, C on Washington, C+ on Long. Now, what is not shown, I'm going to read to you what they have as far as how they overdrafted on these guys. So let me go back. Let me get my screen set up here. So on Penix, he was projected as around the 15th pick. They drafted him at 8.
Okay.
Aurora, they got him projected at 33, went 35. So they got good value on him. But they had to trade up to get him. So that kind of brings the value back down. Trice was rated as the, let's see,
the third edge rusher, wasn't he? Third or fourth edge rusher?
I'm not sure what number, but they had him projected at 64 and he went 74. So they got pretty good value on him. That's why they got an A- on him. This is where the problem came in. Now you get to the 4th round with Dorius. He was expected to go, let's see here. Now this was their best value right here. He was expected to go 80. They got him at 109.
Yeah.
And then the back end of the draft is where it kind of fell apart. This kid right here that went at 143, he was expected to go at 227. J.D. Bertrand, the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
6th round pick. Went 186. He was projected to go at 227. That's the running back out of Alabama.
Mm-hmm. I got you. I'm following you.
All
doing
right.
a great job, bro. You're doing a great job, man.
Washington. Wide receiver out of Illinois. He was projected to go over 200. He went at 187. And then Logue, he was projected to go 203. He went 197. So it's like they kind of reached a lot on the back end of the draft. On the back end of the draft, they kind of reached a lot there. So I just didn't like it overall. I thought they did a very poor job.
I mean, maybe I'd have felt a little different about it if there was just a bona fide defensive player out there.
Right.
Maybe I would feel different. Maybe I would, because I definitely understand. I mean, if logic, come on, you just gave somebody 180 million, then you're gonna use the 8 pick to draft the quarterback. Come on, I understand all that. But I just, 36 years old, hope he come back well. Because again, I'm picking that Atlanta Falcons to win the AFC South with Kirk Cousins or without Kirk Cousins. I think they're set at the. I don't think they'll have to worry about the quarterback position being a problem for them, barring no injuries or anything in the upcoming season. What do you think about that, Ken? Do you think they have will they have any quarterback problems this upcoming season, barring injuries? Kirk
Well,
Cousins can play bad, and Penix can, Kirk Cousins can play well. You don't have to, Penix can sit. You're ready.
they should be ready. They should be.
ready. Should be ready.
They should be.
They
Should be ready.
Yeah.
Should be ready. We'll see how it plays out, man. We'll see how it plays out. That's my 2 cents on the Atlanta Falcons. Anything else in the NFL? Anybody you want to put in the danger zone before we move over to the NBA?
Hey, not really, because we have I'm always, right. The Cowboys going to wind up in the danger zone. They didn't do anything in the draft. They haven't signed their guys. They're going on, but that's for another day. But what I would like to say about the draft on closing notes is that the Buffalo Bills in the first pick in the second round.
Oh Lord, Jesus.
First pick in the second round. First pick in the second round. They take the wide receiver out of Florida State.
Right.
I like him.
True say we got to put Buffalo in the danger zone for giving Kansas City Xavier Worthy.
Xavier. Nobody else would have drafted Xavier Worthy with the number 1 pick with the first pick.
You're in the danger zone.
I'm not putting him in the danger zone for that right there. A lot of people want to put the 49 for drafting the wide receiver out of Florida. Want to put them in the danger zone, and because you got rumors that Debo and all of them is on the blocks. I don't have a problem with Buffalo trading, and because the top guys that was to me were already gone. You had your second tier of wide receivers that was there. So why not pick up you another 3rd round pick or whatever? Come up out. You got the first pick in the 2nd round, and you still got a stud. I like Keon Clark. I like him. I like the boy out of Texas a little bit more because I am a Texas guy. I am in the state of Texas. I like the pickup that they got with McConkey out of Georgia. He's a possession receiver. He's not going to blow He's not going to blow the roof off, but he can run routes. He's tough, and he's pretty sharp, man. Deceptive speed, and what they say, VAC catches, whatever that means. No, yards after catch. Yeah, so he got speed with yard after catch skills. So you come back and you pick back-to-back wide receivers. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Buffalo, and what they did with their first 2 picks in the 2nd round that they took on wide receivers.
Oh, now the second pick is the Chargers.
Wait a minute, that's the Chargers? Yeah, that's the Chargers took Lad McConkey. That's a good pick for them, though, man. That is.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
I watched him play. He definitely wasn't one of the top guys, but man, he was reliable, man, when called upon. That's a good pick for the Chargers, man.
Yeah, but Buffalo, now Keon Coleman, I love his personality. I don't know if you saw him on Instagram, his post-game, not post-game, his introductory press conference, and he had on this yellow jacket.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it.
Oh, man, it was so funny.
Man.
He got it at Macy's.
It don't get no realer than that, man.
It don't get no realer than that, man. I encourage y'all to go watch Keon Coleman's press conference. Man, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Now, his grade is a C-. His grade is a C-. So, take it for what it's worth. I like him out of Florida. I don't like that they the only thing I don't like about Buffalo, Kansas City is your main competition. And you're gifting them the one thing that they needed was another speed wide receiver. Now, if you're thinking that, well, hey, I'm gonna give him Xavier Worthy because we don't think Xavier Worthy's any good. Then okay, I guess you could take that philosophy, but I don't know, man. I just didn't like that move by Buffalo.
I mean, I think everybody looking at that wrong. I mean, they moved up and traded with Kansas City for the 28 pick. Kansas City was picking 32.
Right.
And I really believe that Xavier Worthy would have been there at 32. I don't know if San Francisco would have drafted him. You know, we don't know if San Francisco would have drafted him. I think that Kansas City reached, to be absolutely honest, which I think they reached. I think that Worthy would have been there at the 30 with the 32 pick. I think he'd have been there. I don't see the 49ers drafting him. So, you know, but again, this is all speculation, and that's what the danger zone is. You know, we get here, we get the platform, and we allow our followers to speak, just like us, and we're all fans first.
True said they gave KC the fastest receiver with Mahomes, and they got Hollywood Brown too. KC will three-peat. I think KC is definitely on the road to three-peat. Kansas City had a heck of a draft. Might well take a peek at their draft while we're talking about it.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Again, I like Hollywood Brown.
I'm not a big Hollywood Brown guy. I will admit I'm not a big Hollywood Brown guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. He does has a resume. You know, he's had moments. He's still fast. He's had moments. He's still fast. Would I take Hollywood over any group of guys that the Kansas City Chiefs had that won this past Super Bowl? Probably will. Probably would. And thank you for pulling this here up. We already know about Xavier Worthy. And then they went and got an offensive lineman out of BYU.
Yeah, Kingsley. I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name.
Yeah.
Former bus prospect. 2022, he was outstanding. 23 was not on film. Burst and especially lateral sliding ability are there. Has hard time blocking onto edge and securing them. Slips out of many blocks against the run. Hard working press pro. Can be outstanding at times. Raw but talented.
If you're having a problem with the edge, so if you're having a problem with edge rushers, then you know he may need to play inside. You know, so again, when you get these guys who can play anywhere along that offensive line, man, versatility is great, man.
Yeah. They got Jared Wiley, a tight end out of TCU. You know, you hope that he can learn from maybe Travis Kelce. Now, he's big. He's 6'7", 260 pounds. So I think he's way bigger than Travis Kelce. He may be more of an end blocking tight end by the looks of his size.
In the scouting report, there is it showing anything of speed?
No, not a major yak guy. Not much. It says not much of a blocker. Needs to get stronger overall, more smooth and explosive.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
That's kind of weird for his size. They got a safety.
Yeah, I like that. And they gave him an A-. They gave him an A+ for picking this guy. With losing Snead, I think they lost one of those guys in the secondary too, if I'm not mistaken. So let's give Steve Spagnuolo, man. Let's give him credit, man, for putting together the best defense. He likes to give the 49ers their flowers and Baltimore, but the Kansas City Chiefs defense basically won it. You got 15 for sure, but the Kansas City Chiefs defense won this Super Bowl. They have to get the massive amount of credit for this past Super Bowl. Mahomes made plays when he had to make plays, but the defense had to make plays throughout the season. Remember, Mahomes had a few games where he didn't throw 200 yards, and the defense carried him. So shout out to Steve Spagnuolo over there with that defense with the Chiefs, man. and they started adding to, which was a great defense last season. Picking up a cornerback out of Tennessee, he got a B plus. They say he's good size, boundary cornerback. With better on the field athleticism than his workout suggested. Mirrors will, with 3 levels, but he's not a burner when tested deep, plus ball skills, but have incomplete grade and run support ability. So again, you adding depth. They're pretty set with the corners, even letting Snead go. So again, this was a depth pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you agree with that, my brother?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, that when you get to the 6th and 7th round, you're looking for guys that can contribute on special teams. You might get a steal here and there, a guy that can become a starter at some point. But these are guys that that you're looking for your practice squad, special teams, things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a look at the Kansas City Chiefs. And what they did. So that'll kind of put a bow. If anybody else has any comments, questions about their particular NFL team, of course, chime in on the chat. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick 30. We're going to get ready to talk a little NBA before we put it to bed on this edition of the Danger Zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
All right, guys, welcome back. Final segment of the show. We get ready to talk a little NBA playoffs. Got a basketball game going on right now. The Phoenix Suns trying to hold off elimination. They're down 3-0 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota trying to put them away. So we're going to talk a little NBA.
Phoenix, Minnesota tied 66-66.
All right. So we have some great basketball games this afternoon. The Philadelphia 76ers come up short. They go down 3-1. They lose to the New York Knicks in Philly this afternoon. Sound like Madison Square Garden. There were so many Philadelphia Sixer fans in that game. And that Dallas and LA Clippers game was off the chain this afternoon. Dallas was down by like 31 points at home, came all the way back to take the lead. But James Harden, of all people, showed up big. James Harden and Paul George showed up big down the stretch as the Clippers tied that series at 2. The beard was cooking this afternoon. Then after that, Milwaukee, they were without everybody tonight. Giannis was out. Dame was out. Bobby Portis got ejected in the first quarter of the game. They fought valiantly. Doc Rivers did a pretty good job coaching tonight. They stayed in the game for the most part, but Indiana blew them away at the end of that one. So Indiana now up 3-1 in that series. And Phoenix, as you mentioned, trying to hold on and stay alive here tonight against Minnesota. What has stood out to me during the first week of the playoffs, particularly in the Western Conference, the competition, we thought the Western Conference was going to be a beast with all the teams and then the way it was through the regular season. But you got 3 teams that are on the verge of sweeping their series. Oklahoma City up 3-0 on New Orleans. You got Denver up 3-0 on the Lakers. And you got Phoenix up 3-0 on, Minnesota up 3-0 on Phoenix. So it's
Lakers
been a
won.
surprise.
Lakers won yesterday. It's 3-1 now.
Thank you. The Lakers won last night, 3-1. So it's surprising to me that those 3 series in particular really got out of hand, where you almost looking at 3 sweeps. Lakers won, they survived. We'll see if Phoenix can survive tonight.
It's not surprising me that down the stretch, if you look at these games, most of these games is decided in the fourth quarter. Even with the Lakers against Denver, the Lakers led by double digits in all those games, losing down the stretch in the fourth quarter. For the most part, Phoenix is able to play with Minnesota the last 3 games up until down the stretch the fourth quarter, and that's where your weaknesses be exposed down the stretch. When you play in a 7-game series, you know that, Ken. You don't have to focus on nobody but the team that you're playing. You got to worry about you going on 3-game road trips, and that you can focus on that team. Surprisingly, the OKC and the Pelicans was, to me, was a little more competitive than I thought that series was going to be. As far as the court, they're still down 3-0, but they played a little more better than I thought they was, considering that Zion hasn't played any in this series. But my biggest surprise is, and probably still will be, and putting them in the danger zone, that's the Phoenix Suns. That's my surprise. For them to be down 3-0 really is surprising to me.
Yeah, you definitely have to put them in the danger zone, and we will hear momentarily, because you look at that team, and look, when they got Bradley Beal for Chris Paul,
I didn't like it. I didn't like it because you didn't have a point, and you let Cameron Payne go on top of that. So you let both of your starting point guards go, and you don't replace them with another point guard. But even if you don't have to give up both your point guards and still keep you a true one, Bradley Beal is not someone that I consider is a guy that can get you over the hump. They had a season down in Washington with him and John Wall. But basically, he been on a bad team, putting up big numbers, and he sat there and he got his bag. He got money. He got paid. Mm-hmm. And he accepted, financial stability over winning, because he could have been out of Washington a long time ago.
Right. So
he picked that, and I kind of look at players a little different. That's why I look at Carmelo Anthony. When everybody kind of put Carmelo Anthony in the group with the greats, I don't kind of put him in that, because he kind of chose financial stability. I ain't mad. Get your money. Go get money. But he chose financial stability over winning. It was very obvious he did that with the Knicks. So again, when I'm dealing with players of that nature like that, I kind of look at them twice when you put them on a team that has other great players to play beside them. How well would they do then? And so we're looking at Bradley Beal now, and we can kind of say, well, they don't have a point guard. Well, maybe if you bring a point guard in, is Bradley Beal the guy? Where you want to put him at? Where you going to play him at? How you going to play him and Booker when they both was the same player? I mean, same position anyway. So where you going to play him? KD is a true small forward. It's the reason why KD had a problem in Brooklyn, because they would put him down playing the 4. He was playing the 4 position in Brooklyn, and he didn't want to play the 4 position in Brooklyn. So again, that I think this big 3 thing, this you got to be star-studded thing, I think it's finally over with in the NBA.
Yes.
I think it's finally over with. I think it has played its course now. So we can
Yes.
kind of get back to what we're used to seeing traditional. Maybe you got 2 stars on the team, but that's it. You build your team, you build your bench, you build your role players, and versus trying to get these big 3s. I think that's over with, and I wasn't a fan of it, and personally, I'm glad that era is coming to an end in the NBA. This big 3 thing, because you're not guaranteed to win. None of those guys won, man. The big 3 since the LeBron thing, since the Celtics with Ray Allen and those guys, since those guys got together, the big 3 thing didn't work. Miami went to 4 consecutive finals. They was 2-2. Well, when they were designing that team and put together, they were saying 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's still, you still got to get on the court and play. And then after that, every other big 3 that they tried to assemble, especially Kevin Durant, give it up, throw it away. You ought to be the last. You ought to be the spokesperson for not wanting this big 3 thing to continue, because you have not been successful in it, minus your Golden State days. So that's my take on that. Bradley Beal just wasn't. To me, he wasn't what was missing on that Phoenix squad. I think he's a problem now on that Phoenix squad. And I was looking at it. They were up 71-70. Hopefully they don't get swept. But again, this is what happened when you're trying to go on a theory that doesn't work anymore. Yeah, the big 3 tandem, that era is gone, Ken. And I'm one that's happy that it's gone.
Absolutely. I think with Steph being out of the playoffs, LeBron on the verge of being out, KD being on the verge of being out, you still got Kawhi Leonard, he's kind of in and out with the Clippers. So it's really more of a big 2 with them right now with James Harden and Paul George. So I agree with you, man. I'm glad. I hope teams realize that when you look at Oklahoma City, when you look at Minnesota, when you look at Denver, it's all about drafting, making the right acquisition. You look at Denver, how they built that team. Okay, you draft Jokic, you draft Jamal Murray, you draft Michael Porter, then you go get a guy like Aaron Gordon. He was supposed to be a superstar in Orlando, but he never lived up to being that number 1 player in Orlando. But he was still a very good complementary piece. So they say, let's go get this guy, plug him into our system. We're not going to go try to get a Kyrie Irving or a Kevin Durant, another superstar to play with Jokic and Jamal Murray. We just need a piece. We need a solid rotational player that's going to play his role, play defense, get the rebounds, do the scrappy work. And those are the type of players that you need to win championships. You don't have to have 3 or 4 superstars on your team to win a championship. So I agree with you, brother. I hope this big 3 thing is over with. Let teams build the organic way. Yeah, if there's a free agent, you can go out and add to your club. That's going to improve it. But you don't need 3 superstars on a team, man. That stuff just doesn't work. It's not enough basketballs to go around.
I mean, and more so now than it has been in the NBA, you got to develop your own star. Bottom line, you got to develop your own star. If you don't hit with that pick and develop your own star, you're going to be set back. And that's where we are with the Rockets. We haven't hit with any of those picks that we got. I'm not saying they're not NBA players, but they're not stars. They didn't come in the league and instantly take their spot and their role as being stars in this league. And that's what the Denver Nuggets did. They drafted well. It's what the Spurs was known for years of drafting well, develop their own, and then adding pieces around it. No knock to LeBron. But one of my reasons, And I know I'm kind of waving out what our topics is about the NBA playoff, but one of the reasons why Michael Jordan will always be, to me, the greatest, because he didn't hop around. He didn't hop around.
Well, it wasn't the thing. It wasn't that era. You know, it wasn't that era.
It wasn't that era, but he could have.
Yeah.
He could have. He could have. He could have.
Yeah, he could have.
But again, that wasn't how the game was then. I'm respecting the game that we're watching today and the era and how it is. But that's my reason. You know, I don't believe Michael as a free agent would go and join Magic. I just couldn't see him doing that. You know, and to me that means a lot to me because I love competition, man. I love the NBA. In the 80s and 90s, the competition. It wasn't nobody, you know, they were friends. We learned all about this friend stuff as social media began to get involved in sports, man. But we didn't know how great of friends half of these players was, you know, because when they got on that court, they went out and they gave everything they got because they all want to win, you know. Again, you got players who are friends with others and everybody want to see their boy succeed. So there go a lack of defense now. You know, I want my boy to score 40 because I'm going to score 40, you know. That's the way it is. That's the way it's perceived. That's the way it's perceived. That's the way some of the older guys look at it, you know. But to piggyback on what's happening with the playoffs today, shout out to Tyronn Lue and the Clippers, man, for sitting Leonard, and they need to sit him the rest of this series. Do not put him on the court the rest of this series.
I agree.
He's not helping you at all in this series. He's not. Even though he's out there and he's giving it, set him down. He's not ready for this series. You play better with him with him not playing. And if it go like that, he don't go out no more. I believe the Clippers can get him in 7.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And you remember I've been having the Mavs in the danger zone the entire playoffs because of what they did at the end of the regular season. Cost themselves home court advantage. And then they won in LA. They got home court advantage, and then they lost today, gave it right back to LA. So 2 of the final 3 games are going to be in LA. So, you know, the Mavericks put them own selves in the danger zone, you know, and so it looks like that may be a 7-game series.
The game that we finished watching again, we talked about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers, and I called it at the beginning. I said a sweep, Pacers sweep. Bucks managed to get game 1 off, and that's the only one they're going to win. You know, they lost again today, so they down 3-1. They're more than likely going to lose again Tuesday, I think, when they play. That series is pretty much a wrap, and I still believe in Philly, though, Ken. I mean,
it's over.
I believe. Listen.
It's over.
It's
over. You know why it's over?
Yeah. Don't mention it right now.
Over.
Don't mention him right now. Don't mention him right now. Cause let me give Joel Embiid his flowers, man.
Okay, go ahead.
I think we mentioned the previous episode we had last week, maybe a couple episodes ago, when I said, "Hey, man, Joel Embiid has earned my respect. Joel Embiid is a superstar in this league. He's earned that from me. He's earned that for me this season, this playoff run, whether they win it or not. He's earned my respect because he come in the league injured too. And they had a little run when you know, the Kawhi Leonard lucky shot against Toronto when, you know, when Butler was on that team and they was giving Embiid and Sims a lot. I still wasn't sold on Joel Embiid. I'm sold on Joel Embiid. You know, I'm sold on him. I hate this is happening to the brother, but you know, maybe they had better results if he had a legitimate power forward on the side of him that could have his back, that can be there for him, where he ain't got to block the shot or attempt to block the shot and then come back and get the rebound too. If he had a legitimate power forward and get that trash from on the side of him by the name of Tobias Harris.
You're in the danger zone.
Tobias Harris, you're in the danger zone, and you're familiar with this because this is kind of a regular thing with you since these playoffs started that you was in the danger zone. But really, you've been in the danger zone with me for about 3 years, to be absolutely true with you, brother. You know, you are terrible. You're terrible. And you is what I call.
You went Charles Barkley terrible. You went Charles Barkley terrible.
He's terrible. He's terrible. Tobias Harris is one of those guys that I label as coach killers. He's a coach killer. You don't hear me. You don't hear me.
Man, this guy has not scored more than 10 points in a game against the New York Knicks all season. Regular season and 4 games here in the playoffs. He has not scored more than 10 points. 10 points, man. 10 points. What are we talking? I'm going to go Allen Iverson. What are we talking about? 10 points? What are we talking about? And you making $35, $37, $38 million a year, and you can't score more than 10 points in a game, bro? And when your center out here dropping 50 on one leg.
Garbage.
You got Kyle Lowry coming in, 38 years old.
Garbage. Because Tobias Harris is so much full of garbage, we are overlooking the other things that's wrong with this team as well as we speak.
What's up, TA? Who your basketball team, bro? Who you rolling with in the NBA playoffs?
Because let's be absolutely clear about this. Tyrese Maxey is James Harden 2.0.
Is that a good and a bad way, or all together?
It's who he is. It's who he is. Watch him. He takes bad shots. He takes a lot of bad shots. And he'll turnover machine. But Tobias Harris is so bad.
But I was about to say, he's kind of put in that situation to take bad shots because they don't have a third guy. They don't have a third guy. When Embiid is off the court, you should be able to say, okay, I got Tyrese Maxey and I got Tobias Harris that I can put in a 2-man game. I can put those two in a 2-man game. And we're not asking Tobias Harris to be Joel Embiid, but god dang, bro. You're not supposed to be Boban Bigmanovich. I mean, come on, give me something, bro.
Listen, I got one more. Because I'm so tired of putting Tobias Harris in the danger zone. You know, matter of fact, he's not even worthy for the danger zone. He's not even worthy. He's not worthy of the danger zone, man. Here's someone who's going in the danger zone because he was brought in to be a shooter. Buddy Hield. Put him in the danger zone. Put him in the danger zone, Ken. Buddy Hield.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
Buddy Hield didn't even play today. He didn't get off the bench today.
He been bounced around being a shooter. If I'm not mistaken, it's Buddy Hield out of Oklahoma State. Y'all are one of them.
Oklahoma, Bomasuna.
And you had to run with the Kings, you had to run with the Pacers. And we thought that you were was the piece of the puzzle that Joel Embiid needed when he's doubled in the post because he's gonna find you on the wings. He's supposed
to do for Philadelphia what McBride and DiVincenzo is doing for the Knicks.
And Josh Hart. What they're doing for the Knicks, that's what he's supposed to be doing. But again, Tobias Harris is so garbage.
Tobias Harris should be doing what Josh Hart is doing.
Yes.
Tobias Harris is supposed to be doing what Josh Hart is doing.
Josh Hart had 3 points, but he had 13 rebounds in the third quarter. In the third quarter. You know. So Tobias Harris,
17 rebounds for Josh Hart.
Finished with 17 rebounds.
Anunoby had 14 rebounds. 31 rebounds between Anunoby and Josh Hart.
And Josh Hart is a 2 guard.
Tobias Harris give you 8. 10 points and 8 rebounds. No blocks, no steals,
no assists. No assists. I watched Jalen Brunson break his back 2 or 3 times. I turned to TV because it was just embarrassing when when the pick and roll came his way and he had to guard Jalen Brunson. It was just pathetic. It was pathetic, man. It's pathetic. So when we used to call Jeff Van Gundy career killer Van Gundy because of his style of play. That's what he did to our Rockets when he came down here. He wore Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming straight to the goddamn ground because of his style of play. That half court, that New York Knicks, that Pat Riley, that grind and whine. You can't do that with a thin Tracy McGrady and a straight up and down Yao Ming. And it cut their careers short and it killed their careers. Neither one of them after Jeff Van Gundy was ever the same. Neither one of them. Talk to me, brother.
Mm-hmm.
But Tobias Harris is a coach killer. That's what he is. And he'll never have another big contract again. He better collect all that money and sit on and save because he won't get another one like that again.
Yeah, man.
So
he definitely stealing money. He is definitely stealing money.
Somebody need to call Kim O.
Wow. I don't think she has jurisdiction in Pennsylvania.
Somebody need to call because it's highway robbery, man. It's highway robbery. There's been players like that. He wasn't the first to rob, get that bag and it just robbed the organization. We got a bunch of them. Amari Stoudemire did the same thing. He robbed the Knicks, man. We know that. Everybody know that. Grant Hill robbed Orlando. It wasn't his fault.
No, I'm not gonna say that. Organizations gave them money knowing that they was injured. So I put that completely on the organization.
But the organization also, they robbed them, man, because they couldn't perform, man.
Well, at least they were hurt. Tobias Harris ain't never.
They have a reason. They have a reason.
Yeah.
They have a reason. Yeah.
Tobias Harris ain't never been hurt.
No, he don't have a reason. Those guys that I call that robbed the organization, they do have a reason. I'm not saying it's an excuse. They do have a reason, and that they was injured. They were injured, man.
Right.
Hey, look here. We're missing out on this Cleveland Orlando. They tied 2-2.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that garbage. All right, that's not going in my space, bro. No.
What? Talk to me. Are you? I know you never believe in the Cavs anyway. What is? Let me ask you this. What is your take on Donovan Mitchell?
He is an overrated superstar. So Donovan Mitchell, I don't believe has ever gotten to a conference final,
right?
In Utah or Cleveland. I don't think either one of those teams has ever got to a conference final.
No.
He's a good basketball player.
Right.
He has moments of superstardom in the regular season, but
And some playoffs too.
it has not manifested itself into playoff success. Because there were several years, I think 2 or 3 years in a row, they lost to the Rockets. Now he was young then, when the Rockets, were perennially going to the Western Conference Finals with Harden and Chris Paul and Capella and those guys. But I think he's a very good basketball player. I don't think he's a number one on a championship team. I think he's more of a number two or maybe a number three, kind of like a Jamal Murray, maybe like an Aaron Gordon, a guy that can be that second or third option, a Tyrese Maxey. I think those guys are in the same neighborhood.
I thought I was the only one that thought that, I don't believe that Donovan Mitchell is a superstar in this league. I don't. I think he's a star. I think he's really good.
Only one thing he's a superstar is Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, because he wanted him to play for the Knicks.
Right.
I don't think he's a superstar. I don't. I think he's a good player, and I do believe that you could build a team around him.
Well, they built a nice team in Cleveland. They built a nice team.
I mean, they had a nice team in Utah as well. But again, he was a little younger. Not saying he's real old now, but he good. He was a little younger. I think sometimes he go to sleep in big moments. I've seen that. We looking at it in this series too. See, you can have 30 points, my brother, but again, how I am is how you got that 30 points,
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes he have meaningless stats.
Mm-hmm.
Meaningless stats.
Mm-hmm.
Meaningless stats.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I don't think he's a superstar in this league. I would take John Morant over Donovan Mitchell all day long.
Arguable.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go either way on that. Yeah. Go either way on that. Well, hey, man, we're going to get ready to wrap it up. How you call these series? Denver, LA. Denver wrap it up?
Yeah, they wrap it up. They wrap it up tomorrow. Denver wrap it up tomorrow.
What about the Clippers and Dallas?
They're going 7. I'm still picking the Clippers at 7.
Pick the Clippers in 7.
Yeah.
Who else we got out west? We got New Orleans and Oklahoma City.
They wrap that up.
Sweet.
OKC wrap that up.
Sweet?
Yeah. Yeah, they wrap it up.
Call them a sweep. We got 10 minutes. We got the whole fourth quarter to go here. Phoenix and Minnesota.
I think Phoenix win one. Phoenix will get one. They'll get this in the night. They'll get this in the night. They'll get this tonight. We'll talk about it in the morning, man.
What about on the East? Let's get our Eastern Conference picks. Philadelphia and New York, 3-1 Knicks. I think the Knicks wrap it up Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever they play again.
I picked the Knicks. I picked Philly. I picked Philly.
You stick with Philly.
I have to stay with them, but in reality, they'll probably get Philly at 6. Yeah.
Orlando and Cleveland tied at 2. Both teams have blown out the other team on their home court. It's a 3-game series now. Cleveland has home court.
Cleveland at 6.
I'm going with Orlando. I'm going with Orlando at 6.
Cleveland at 6.
I got you. I don't think Cleveland wins another game. I think Orlando wins 4 straight and gets them out of there. Then we have to put Donovan Mitchell in the danger zone if that happens. You got Boston and Miami. I think Boston is up 2-1. after the win today?
3-1.
No, 2-1. I'm gonna go with Boston. I think they go ahead and take care of business 4-1.
Yeah, I thought they was up 3-1 because everybody game 4. Everybody playing game 4 today.
Yeah. Boston won behind. They'll play game 4 tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, Boston win that series, man. I mean, 4-1. I don't think Miami win another game.
All right, and then the final one is
Pacers close it out next game.
Pacers close it out.
They close it out.
Pacers close it out.
They close it out.
All right. So next Sunday night we'll be talking round 2 of the NBA playoffs. We'll see what NFL news happens next week, and if anything breaks during the week. And we may turn our attention to Major League Baseball next week. Astros won 2 in a row in Mexico. Maybe they need to stay in Mexico, but we'll save that for another day.
Que pasó, amigo?
For my boy Floyd B, I am your host, Ken Moore. Thank you guys for joining us tonight on another edition of The Danger Zone. And we will see you guys in about a week. Good night.
See you when I see you.
Everybody.